to conferences all the time is the main driver for progress in your skill set and also your relationship, and basically any professional can become a better professional by attending conferences.
It's not the standard, okay? It's a movie theater, but the visual is great and the sound is great, and I've seen a lot of room and space, and I think it's organized well.
Seeing all the people here today and they're excited about stuff, and you can see the energy and the desire to learn and do new things.
And I was positively surprised about the depth, the technical depth of the sessions, and how that makes the tester part of the team.
I think developers do benefit from coming to QA conferences, just the same as testers can benefit from going to dev conferences. You've got to have a broad understanding of what's going on.
It's really inclusive. I would say it's super diverse. People are really, really open and friendly, and it's really organized.
Conferences are well worthwhile just for the ideas that they spark in people. When people come back to the office, they're full of ideas and they're all energized up.
Hello everyone, my name is Sheekha Singh. I work as a QA engineer at Fine Technologies in Canada, and my topic would be all about millennials. We would discuss what are the myths about the millennials and why they are a great addition in the testing team and the testing world, with them comprising of 40% of the workforce just in the United States alone. So I'm excited to meet you guys. See ya. Hello everyone, my name is Sheekha Singh and I am here to talk about millennials and testing. I am super excited about this, so let's begin. Before we get into the talk, a little something exciting about me is that I am writing a book and it's called Get Lit in Tech. It is a book about debunking myths and helping young women choose a career in IT. And because of the horrific numbers of women in IT and such less number of women, I thought it would be a good idea to help inspire young women who are confused and who do not have enough awareness about IT, and people just think it's all about coding. So that's about it. So be sure to check out my Instagram or my website right there, and also LinkedIn for more updates on this book. It would be released in December, so I'm pretty excited about it. Now let's get into our actual talk, millennials and testing. Today we would be discussing about who are millennials, testing with millennials, why do they love automation, a few myths about millennials, and working with them. So let's begin. Who actually are millennials? I'm 101% sure that there are currently millennials listening to this talk, or so I like to believe. So as per the updated stats, millennials are believed to be the generation that are born between 81 and 96. So if you turned anywhere between 23 to 38 last year, then you are a millennial. And you should be happy about it. Millennials, this is my favorite statistic about them, is that right now they constitute about 40% of the overall workforce. The other interesting statistic that I like is that they contribute to about 21% of the consumer purchases all over the world, and they contribute over $1 trillion for the buying power of the market. So that is a huge, huge market. So any apps these days, any kind of solutions, any kind of applications are all directed towards this particular generation because of the amount of contribution towards the market. And again, because I work in the United States, I moved to Canada recently a month ago, but I was working in the United States for the past 6 years. And so it was interesting to know that the millennials make up to 25% of the entire US population. Now, before we get into this, a little something about me is that I have been a QA engineer for the past 6 years. And I have a master's degree in management information systems from the University of Nebraska, Omaha. I just love technology and I love everything about it. And I love QA because I like to break code. That's the most interesting part about it. So at my first job after my internship, it was so obvious to me, and the difference between the older generations and the mentality when it comes to technology and automation with the newer generations. And that kind of forced me, or like that kind of got an idea in my head that if I am facing this, then maybe the others are. So why not talk about it? So that's why I have this topic today. Now, let's get into the interesting parts about millennials. Why are they interesting? Is because they are technology infused. Now, as per the latest study that's been done, it's like it has been studied that millennials are considered to be the are highly likely to adopt any new technology that is in the market, and they are 2.5 times more likely to early adopt a technology than any other generations. So be it in beta phase or whatever phase it is, millennials are your best bet for any kind of user testing. And the other thing is 56% of them are actually the very first to try any new technology and anything. So you just ask anyone out around here, and if I would come and tell you that, hey, I have this very cool, interesting app, would you like to try about it? And if you are millennials, chances are that you would definitely be interested to try out that. Next thing is, this is my favorite thing because I kind of relate to it. And I am a millennial myself, so I thought this picture was the best explanation for millennials and their journey all over. Now, there have been a lot of bad news for the past few years that millennials are this and that, and they are always hooked onto their phones, and they do not pay a lot of attention. But when you look at the journey of a millennial, so if you consider someone, let's say John, who was born in 1988, like the picture here, when you look at the journey and when you see at how all the applications came into the market and how there was a smartphone, John would have been the first ones to actually use Facebook and now to actually use contactless payments. Just think about it. So this is the generation who actually grew up with technology. So it is so difficult to not to stay away from technology when you've just grown up with it every day of your life. Like I cannot imagine anyone else being without using any of the applications. Like, look around you today, everything that you do is in the tips of your fingers on your mobile phone, or your watch for that matter. And that's all because of technology, and that's because millennials have been so open-minded to adopting new technology. And I like this because the reason is that we have evolved, and and the reason why we consider social media to be our best friend is because we were there when it all started. We were there when it all began, and we've seen its ups and downs, and we have used it in every day. Some of us have also gotten married because of social media. So that's how the journey is. So it's incorrect to blame a generation when they have actually grown up with technology. Now, let's talk about testing. And this is my favorite part about millennials, is because the thing is, now by 2025, that is in the next 5 years, they would actually make up to 75% of the entire workforce all around the world. So 75% of the workforce would just be millennials, and millennials would again be in the leadership positions as well. So the other interesting thing about this is, I like to use the term technology infused, like I said, because this generation has grown up with technology. And it's not just that, yeah, we do like technology because we cannot live with it. No, we actually find use out of it. We use it on our day-to-day lives. Like, think about it. If you would have told your grandmother a few years back, or when she was growing up, that, hey, I'm going to the bank and I do not have a physical dollar or a physical currency with me, and I'm just going to pay it through my phone, like, her mind would just be blown. And so that's how we are. Like, right now, if I go to the bank, if I go outside and if I buy anything, then I just use my phone and I just even if it's the card or whatever, just tap and you're done with it. It's just 1 second to pay or transfer money or do anything, and everything's just instant. And I like to notice how the trend has changed. Like, if you would have told our parents or their parents that, like our grandparents, that would you be okay sharing your house to strangers for a certain amount of time? I'm definitely sure they would not be open with it. But we as millennials, we love Airbnbs. And that's how we've evolved, because we like to adopt technology, and not just because it's cool, but also because it is useful and because it makes sense. And that's what I like about it. The reason why I believe that millennials would make up the best team members is because they are open to new ideas, they are open to experimenting, because we've seen the shift all over growing up. By just now everything is just instant, everything is voice controlled, there's augmented reality, there's artificial intelligence, there's so much, then everything is changing every second, and we know about it and we like it. And that's why I feel that when you have any application in the market, millennials would come up with innovative ideas, because they've already seen how everything has evolved and they are obsessed with easy to use technology. Just look at Facebook. There's nothing jazzy about it. There's just simple stuff with simple UI, and there's just white and blue. And look at Instagram. It's just an app about pictures. Any application that you pick up, it's easy to use, and that has been one of the main selling point for millennials, is that it's easy to use. There's so much specificity about user experience, and the whole experience of just logging in to logging out. It has to be seamless. If not, we don't like it. And that's what I love about it. It's because we have made technology easy for anyone to use. And that's why I say that they're a technology infused generation. Now, I loved this. This is a study that's been done by Zapier, and it says that the younger generations, that is Gen Z and millennials, are embracing automation as a way to work smarter. And they would love or be willing to automate parts of their job, which leads me to the most important part of the discussion: is why do we love automation, and what are the reasons behind it? Um, the most important thing is, like, why are these 93% people so involved in getting their day-to-day stuff automated? It's not just because we love technology, but because we've seen the importance of automation. Nobody has all the time in the world. I can give you an example of our team. I work with Fine Technologies, and we are in the healthcare domain. Now, the UI part of it, and the entire UI, the front end was already automated by using Selenium and all of that. But we deal with data. We deal with lots and lots and huge amount of data. So all of that 1 year back was all being tested manually. So you would get a file from the client that involves more than, I would say, 1 million records. And this is in raw file. And it goes to the ETL process of it. And at the end, when it's ready to be tested, we would just eyeball the data and test it manually. And this was like 1.5 years ago. We would test everything manually, and you would literally go to each and every table and check for the data for 15 to 20 providers, pick out sample data and perform smoke testing on it, and just say, yeah, out of the 1 million records in the file, 20, 25 of them look good, and we are good to go. And that would just be done. And that's because, one, nobody has the time to do it, and two, it's huge data. Imagine if you would have gone, and there's not just one table always involved in the database. There are so many tables that are involved with the entire application and the various relationships. So when you look at the data and when you try to test it, that was just mind-blowing to me, is that we were spending so much time to just test 15 to 20 records manually. But now, 1.5 years later, we are a team that's comprised of 70% of millennials. improvements. And that's what I love about it, is that nobody was okay doing this manually. And this this forced me to actually include the last point in the slide that is there. And that's why I have tackled it first, is because I have lived through it and I have seen it, that all the millennials in the team were not okay testing all this data manually. And they were willing to automate the entire process. And 1.5 years later, we are here with an ETL automation testing tool. And that has dramatically changed our entire QA process for the data team. It has changed everything. We use an ETL automation tool. We have regression suites. Everything has been, the framework has been set up and we've been using it. So now we spend more time getting out bad data and then simplifying the data in such a way that the manual QA folks get more time to do their exploratory testing. And that's what I love about it. I know that automation doesn't solve all the problems and that it is not the answer to everything in an organization. But when you look at how fast paced everything is, when you look at the agile shops that I hear, because I like to believe nobody is perfectly agile, and I'm sure many of you would agree with that, but everybody is agile-ish. So when you deal with all these releases, which happen in a 2-week sprint, or I have also heard that Spotify has a release almost every day. So when you are looking at this, that is when automation definitely comes into picture. There is no way that you would be able to get the entire test coverage by just manual testing. And I have seen the shift. Like I said, with my personal experience, I was there in a previous organization that I worked with a few years ago. The change, there is this change that's there in the older generations that I would like to say that many people are not really willing to change from everything manual to everything automation just like that. But when you look at millennials, they are okay with it. Nobody has a problem. And the thing that I like about millennials is that they love to learn. We like to learn new things, and automation is no less. And I have seen this, that we encourage automation because of the reduction in post-production incidents. Now, just take our example. You have a file with thousands and thousands of records in it and thousands of data, rows of data in it, and you've tested 15 of it. But what if there was something and you just said, yes, fine, go ahead, this looks good. But what if there was a weird data in, you tested the first 20 rows, but what if there was something in the 500th row or the 1000th row? You would not catch it, but after it goes live, that's when you know that that's where you get the post-production tickets and you're like, yeah, we couldn't catch it because we test manually. But if there was automation set up, then you would have the regression cycles that would go on after every release, and all the bad data would be easier to catch. Now, I have also worked in an organization that did not have huge amounts of data like the current organization does, and that was in the financial domain. That was all UI. And I can tell you, irrespective of whatever domain it is, automation does reduce the post-production incidents. And I think that all of us can agree to it. And again, like I said, it doesn't solve all the problems out there in an organization. I'm not saying that you will be 101% efficient by using automation, but it does increase efficiency by a certain percentage. The reason is because we get reviews, we get insights, and we get intelligent decisions by mitigating these risks. Because now that you have your automation set up, you have all this time to focus on the other area of the application and testing the application, different types of testing. And then that's where you come up with the edge cases, and that's where everyone has time to come up with the exploratory stuff. Now, the reason that I like millennials more is because just look at it. Open your phone and there are minimum of 25 apps that you use and that are available in your phone. No matter what domain you work in, no matter what your software application is, chances are that if you are a millennial, then you have already used it. And that's where I feel that millennials would be amazing testers, is because we have already used so many apps. We believe in giving reviews, and we like easy to flow user experience. So when you look at it from an overall perspective, if when I was working in the financial domain and I was testing the app, I would like to say that our team, not just me, but my team, came up with different scenarios, not just by testing, not just in the testing area and the test cases, but also suggestions for the applications. And that's because chances are all of us did use a banking app before. And that's just how it is. And now look at it. This conference, the reason that I am able to talk to you guys and give this talk all across the world is because of technology. And if it wasn't for technology, then we wouldn't have been here in such times. And I know I decided that I wouldn't talk about COVID, but it's just amazing that people from all over the world are connected. And that's because if this would have happened 20 years back, or let's say even 35 years back, 35 years back, then I don't think all of us would have known how to use Zoom or Slido or StreamYard and be connected. And that's what I like about millennials, is that all of us are connected. And now more than ever, it has been even more important to be and to stay connected, to just stay sane. The other thing that I like about testing is that insights and reviews. We love our data. Wherever you go, whatever app you use, everybody is going to give you data, and you believe that data. It's because you get reviews, you get insights, you get suggestions, you get feedback, and that's all because of our generation. So when you look at, if you are a team, if you look around who are in your team, and if you just, I'm not saying that go around ask for everyone's age, but if you just look around, you would know who millennials are. And you can clearly notice in your one-on-one discussions or your team meetings, we love collaboration. We love how to stay connected. We love talking about it. Now, this is my favorite part, is the myths about millennials. So when I was doing my research for this talk a few years ago, I noticed that there have been so many negative articles about this generation, and these were the top three that every article mentioned. And there was, millennials are lazy, they are hard to manage, they are unmotivated. And I went around and I spoke with my friends, and they're like, no, this is so not true, especially in our working setup, especially in the work setup, be it corporate or be it startups. I have worked at startups, and I love the startup culture. And I believe that's because of how we are and how we've evolved to be. We are definitely not lazy. As per these studies, they say that millennials are the one that crave adventure. They are definitely not lazy. Now, when they say they are hard to manage, it's because all of us know where this saying comes from, is move fast and break things concept. We love to see everything go live then and there. We have everything instantly. So that's how we like to work. We like to be fast about everything, be it the results, be it the entire process, whatever it is. And I know this is shocking, but 45% of those who are employed and 65% of them actually say that they're passionate about the job. And I can say that I'm one of them. And definitely, if you are here listening to this conference, and if you are anywhere in the QA world and you are a millennial, then I can say it's your passion for this job that you are attending this conference right now, even if it's virtual. So that's what I love about it. So this is a myth, and that's so not true. They are definitely not hard to manage. Now, the last thing is that they're unmotivated. Okay, just look at it this way. Who would have thought that being a YouTuber would have been an actual job? Who would have thought that social media marketing and social media strategist would have been an actual job? It's not. I mean, that is the reality right now. And without based on all of these algorithms without consistency, there is no way that you are going to be on the top. And we all see it, that there's motivation everywhere, be it mental health, be it how to behave or how to survive at a workplace or how to face challenges. You just type in and you get the content out there is just mind blowing for millennials by millennials. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing to see how the community is overall. It's not just we are the only thing that I would like to say for all this myths is that we are just not the generation that loves avocado toast. We are more than that. And the thing that I like about this is remote working. All of us have been working remote these days. And so if we were really hard to manage, then all this working from home would have not worked. And if we were unmotivated, then, and if you say that millennials spend all their time on their smartphones, then that wouldn't have been true either. Because if someone's spending all their time on their smartphone, then how can they get any work done? And the other thing is, when you're looking at your smartphone, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are spending time doing nothing or something that's irrelevant. Look at your news, look at any updates. Anything that you get is on your phone these days. So it is obvious that someone's going to look for their phone all the time. It's just to stay, like I said, we love to stay connected. So we like to know what's going around and what's happening. So that's completely not true. And I know when it comes to the lazy part or the hard to manage part, I like to say that the millennials came up with the introvert extrovert kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong about it. Yes, there are different people. Not everyone is the same. Not everyone is very happy all the time, and you shouldn't be happy all the time. But at your workplace, there's different ways to manage different types of millennials, because we are aware, we know what we are, and there is a certain kind of way to handle all these types of people. It's like, obviously, if you are a manager, you would know best how to handle your teammates, your team members in different ways, because not everybody is the same. And this is what I like about it. We love collaboration. We love new ideas, and we have an open mindset to the new ideas. So all the managers out here who are listening, I would say you would have to rethink the word manage, because millennials work differently. If I am, and I have seen this because I do have introvert friends, it's not that it's not that the introverts are shy or they do not like to speak at the workplace. It's just that you would have to ask them separately in your one-on-ones or in separate discussions and involve them. I am not saying that you would get collaboration from 100% of your team, but when you work with millennials, it's easy to guess and it's easy to judge and know who would be willing to collaborate in a team setup and who would like to work differently. And that's why I think I love the phrase that it says, when it comes to millennials, you would have to rethink the work manage. Now, working with millennials, I personally love the slide, and that's because of the email thing right there. And it says, we love our emojis. The whole world knows about it. We love our emoticons. And being flexible. I think everyone would agree to this part of it, is that millennials love being flexible. Whether you are a travel blogger, whether you are working from anywhere else in the world, it's all because all this has been possible now at this time because we are so flexible. We do not believe in the traditional 8 to 5 thing or the 9 to 5 thing, and that we are open, we are ready to change, and we are ready to adapt. And that is such a huge factor when it comes to consider when working with millennials and working efficiently. This is another thing that I like. All of us love our hashtags, and I think everyone would agree to it. The other thing, so I do not believe in the first thing. So we think, when I was doing my research for this talk, it was mentioned everywhere that they have been managed their entire life. And the reason that happened is because when the millennials were growing up, it was fed into our minds that you need to be consistent, you need to focus, and you need to be settled. And I just don't understand that term right now, because right now, if you look at the shift in the culture, we are more diverse. We love diversity. And when you look at everywhere around you, I feel that millennials have made that huge culture shift, not just at the workplace, but everywhere else. And when you make that culture shift, it's very evident that you would take time. So we do not fit into the boomers timeline that says you have to get a job by this age, you have to get married by this age, and you have to have a house by this age. We don't believe in that. It's because we have been managed our entire life and we don't believe in it. We like to do what we love. And I feel that that is an important thing to consider, because the work culture is shifting and changing drastically. And you need to consider that if you are a manager or if you're working with the other millennials. And the second point is, we are looking for leaders. We are looking to be involved in the brainstorming sessions, and we like set productive expectations. And I like to say this because we had a discussion, I think it was last year or the year before that, and there was a manager who says, yeah, I thought managing millennials was hard, but just give them free lunch and take them out for a bowling night, and you would be their best friends. And that's how it is. That's how we are. And that's how we love working. We like to be connected, and we like to have set expectations, and we do not like micromanaging. I'm just putting it out across on behalf of everyone. Before ending, I like to end with this quote that I really love. And it says, it's from Jeff Carr. And it says that I do find that quite ironic when folks have very strong viewpoints of this generation, when they not only don't come from it, but clearly are not very close to it. Be sure to follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram for other updates on my book and any other technical updates as well. I do blog.